glad to invite some of my colleagues to share from their experiences and some of their perspectives on the distinctives of P.I.U. Thanks for watching. God bless.
One of the things that we hear from people that visit our campus for any length of time is that P.I.U. is really a unique school. In fact, the liaison from our accreditor who comes out and evaluates our school, he says, I've been all over the world and I've never seen another school in the world that is remotely like P.I.U. And I thought about what makes us different. One of our core values is excellence, and that's academic excellence. We try to represent God and His image in everything we do. But there are a lot of other schools that have excellent academics and excellent programs, so I'm not sure that that's the real focus of what makes us different. We also talk about accessibility. We want to make our programs geographically accessible. We're 8,000 miles away from the U.S. mainland. And students, most island students are not able to make that trip to the mainland to go to school, and then once they get there, those Christian colleges are financially inaccessible to them. And so one of our big goals, and I say this to the students all the time, is that we will always work with students. We never want to turn a student away because they don't have enough money to come here. If they're willing to work and they want to work with us, we want them to be able to come to this school. But again, there are other schools that do things like that. But I think what really makes us unique is our third core value, which is the transformational value. What is most important to us is that our students have an encounter with Christ when they come to this school. They have an opportunity to be discipled, and that they have that through relationship with the faculty and staff. And this is not just true in terms of what we would normally call discipleship, things like Bible studies and chapels and devotionals, but we want this to be true in the general lifestyle of the campus, like the Socratic method, where the followers followed him around and asked questions and interacted with him. Actually, it probably would be better to call that the Jesus-atic method, because that's what Jesus did. And he did it better than Socrates, I would think. But that's the idea, that our students would catch the values and the lifestyle of our faculty and staff, that, as Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. That would be the opportunity that our students have, that they are in the homes of the faculty and staff, that they're doing ministry together, that they're hanging out together. I think sometimes the best ministry is done sitting next to the basketball court watching an intramural basketball game than in the classroom. So I think that is what really sets us apart as unique, is we are very focused on being a transformational, discipleship, mentoring-oriented campus. And that's why we intentionally stay very small, so that our teacher-student ratio is small, and we only hire people who come not just to teach, but because they want to actually minister to students and change lives. And the effect of this is, just recently we saw the effect of this, and not just in the spiritual area. We've had several students who do not have access to college because of their prior poor education. So they come to us as remedial students. And so this past year, we had a remedial program that for the first time was running full bore, but it's not a normal remedial program. These students have been to these remedial programs and they failed. What made this one different is that it's not just in the classroom, but the teachers were coming to the campus in the afternoon and working with the students. They were coming to the events and interacting with the students. The older, more advanced students were sitting down with these students, going through the Bible so that they could learn conversational English better. And this just recently, the past couple days, we got the scores of these students, the hard numbers. They made phenomenal progress. We were told 50 points a semester is the ultimate that you can expect in the improvement on their test scores. Some of these students improve 75 to 100 points in one semester. It's just phenomenal, but it's because of that time that is poured into their lives. And I think another thing that this allows us to do that is unique, I don't know of any other campus that is doing this, it allows us to be rehabilitative and reconciliatory and holding, I don't even know how to say it, accountability. I like to create new words, accountabilizing our students. We're able to work in their lives not as many schools would. If they have a problem, we're going to kick them out and pass the problem on to somebody else. We want to show them how a church should treat people who are having problems such as substance abuse problems, anger issues, time management issues, all these kind of things, because we're small and we're oriented toward relationship with the students. We don't have to kick them out and let someone else deal with their problems. We can give them the tools in relationship to deal with their own problems. And so for me, that's what makes our school more accessible than any of these other ones, because these kids that have these insurmountable barriers to discipleship and to education are getting trained in all of these areas holistically, so that they can go out from here as graduates who are really going to make an impact on their world for Christ.
Well, Rob, the question is, what have I appreciated the most from this school, P.I.U? There are many things that I appreciated from this school or being part of P.I.U family. But there is one thing that I appreciated the most, and that is the relationship that we have between students and staff and faculties. Relationship. Thank you.
Now, some years ago, the leaders of Liebenzell Mission and the churches of especially Chuk, but also Yap and Palau, concluded that they needed to have an institution that would provide training for potential church leaders, and so this was the beginning of what is now Pacific Islands University. It began as an institute. Became a college later, and then finally a university. But the purpose from the beginning was to have training for church leaders. In other words, provide a curriculum that would enable graduates, any person who finished the program, to be equipped well enough to serve in a church leadership position. Now in Micronesia, it's not really required to have a deep theological training in order to accomplish this, although the school from the beginning did have theology as part of their curriculum. So I have 3 Bibles here. That's very appropriate to talk about this in the presence of 3 Bibles. This is very basic to our curriculum, is the Bible training. That's true from the beginning. We also have liberal arts program these days, but even those students in the liberal arts program are given some Bible training with the idea that they would somehow be useful in the churches, because the churches need leadership from people who have a love of Christ and a knowledge of His scriptures. So we've been doing that from the beginning, and we continue to do that. And as far as how successful are we, many of our alumni are involved in church ministry in various ways. Also, somewhat surprisingly, most of our graduates are school teachers. And as such, they have a great influence on the churches by being part of the training of young people. So we feel good about what the goal of the institution was from the beginning and how effectively the school has operated over the years to accomplish that.
The challenge of P.I.U. being a school firmly grounded in a biblical worldview to help the students to understand what that is so unique, because the students came from different islands with this baggage, and they also learn a lot from the Western influence. And to put these two things together is really a confusion of identity to the Micronesian students, who on one hand they are still leaning towards the belief of the islands, and on the other hand they're influenced by other Western philosophies and beliefs, which really I would say that P.I.U. really is in the right place to deal with this kind of confusion and bring the students to a biblical understanding of our world. And you can also see that these things would also influence families in Micronesia and things like that. Even the church is also affected by this. And you can see even a mixture of, or a kind of a belief, I would term it as syncretistic belief of mixing Christianity and the animistic belief together. And that is what P.I.U. is so unique in its role to help the students to understand clearly what is the biblical worldview in relating to these things.
The school started as a Bible institute on the island of Chuuk, and then changed when we received accreditation. We changed our name to Pacific Islands Bible College, and then after the addition of a small seminary program, we changed the name to Pacific Islands University. In the undergraduate program, we offer 2 bachelor degrees, one in Bible and one in liberal studies, and also both associate degrees, Bible and liberal studies. To help the students also use their skills or their degrees in the community, we offer minors for the bachelor programs, and because most of our graduates have been working in schools, secondary schools and elementary schools, we offer an elementary education minor and also a TESOL minor, teaching English as a second language. And this helps students that go back to their islands and work in schools as teachers. The seminary program is relatively new and also small, and one reason for it being so small is that for graduate studies there are no federal grants available, whereas our students in the undergraduate program receive Pell Grant and are also eligible for all kinds of other grants from the US government. And seminary students cannot make use of these grants, and their private funds are not such that they can really afford a seminary education, so they're really dependent on help from friends and churches.
Part of Pacific Islands University is the seminary attached to the campus, Pacific Islands Evangelical Seminary. We are the only accredited seminary in this region. We offer a master's degree in religion, and this is an excellent bit of the school to be a part of, because we are doing things in this region that no one else is doing. Part of what makes the seminary experience at Pacific Islands Evangelical Seminary unique is our class sizes. we normally have a very generous amount of professor to student ratio. I have been in seminary classes where there were 5 professors to every 2 students. And these students got to run through the works of learning how to write a high-level research paper, learning how to do theology, learning how to read their Bibles, and being taken step by step through this process in a way that you wouldn't get in a larger seminary or a stateside school. Because of our class size and the goals of the university, many of our classes operate in a non-traditional setting. We do classes around a dinner table, we do a lot of conversation classes, we have time for the professors and the students to interact in a very discipleship-oriented way. It's not just about the head here at P.I.U. It's about the heart and the guts and the hands. This is whole person transformation that we're looking for, so that the students who come into the seminary are equipped to go out to their churches, to go out to their families, and do ministry in a way that really will impact their culture and their people. Not just talk from a pulpit, but go into the houses and have the deep conversations at dinner tables and sitting outside looking at the stars, enjoying the nature of the Pacific, and really getting into the deep truths of the universe, the deep truths of God, and being able to spread those out one person at a time into this entire region.